The federal government, last month, the federal government rolled out edible cannabis products at retailers across the country. Pot-based chocolates, gummies, and beverages are now available.
Now, with edibles hitting the shelves across Canada, we felt the need to take a closer look at how they work. So here with everything that you need to know is Dr. Yoni Friedhoff. So for those who are unaware, clearly our audience is aware, but for those who aren't, what are cannabis edibles exactly? Talk about the range.
Edibles are food products. Generally, it's baked goods, chocolates, candies that are infused with cannabis concentrates. And that in turn leads to the cannabinoids, the THC, which is the psychoactive cannabinoid, and CBD, which is not, to be absorbed into our bodies, leading to the same effects that you might have with vaping and smoking.
So is there any difference between having an edible on the body versus smoking or vaping? Or?
So there is a difference, and that is the speed with which it is absorbed by the body.
Okay.
So with vaping and smoking, it's nearly instantaneous. We can dose depending on the effect. But with edibles, it's not like that. So often it takes up to an hour, sometimes even up to 4 hours, and it depends on what you're consuming it with. And so sometimes people will end up having more than they expected because they think, oh, it's not working.
It's not working. Oh, wow. Okay, I mean, the whole thing is just new, but it sounds very frightening to me in some ways. The side effects, it sounds like I'm already hearing one, which is potentially ingesting too much. But what are side effects of edibles?
So it's the same side effects as you'd have with vaping and smoking. So you can have, of course, impairment. Drowsiness, fatigue, dizziness, nausea. You can have a dry mouth. You can be anxious or paranoid. So all of those same effects exist. And of course, it should also go with saying that women who are pregnant or breastfeeding shouldn't be trying this at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for those who don't have the experience, and this is out there, let's talk about portion control, all right? So let's say someone has a cookie, has THC in it. Are you supposed to eat the whole thing?
It would probably be a bad plan if it's homemade because you really don't know what you're getting in that instance. But it is probably also best, regardless of whether it's homemade or not, to start low with a low dose, 2.5 milligrams or less, and go slow. Wait a few hours before consuming a bit more, especially, again, if it's either homemade or it's the first time you're using a particular product.
So sometimes if I have an edible, I can tell that the piece does have, if it does or doesn't have an equal dose of THC to a CBD, and you don't ever really know, and like whether or not it's evenly distributed.
Are they all the same?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so again, with homemade, definitely not. But with store-bought, it might not be safe to assume that either. So there was a research letter that was sent into the Journal of the American Medical Association a few years ago that studied what was in authorized products, authorized edibles, and it found that over 50% were mislabeled. So unless it's a product you've used regularly, again, it may not be always safe to assume you're getting what the label says you're getting.
Wow. Okay, well that's quite scary, especially since like CBD to me is radically different from the THC experience. If you're doing exclusively CBD, it doesn't have those kind of psychokinetic. What did you call it?
Psychoactive.
Psychoactive. Thank you. So let's talk about what can you do if you feel like you've kind of taken too much, and is it possible to overdose?
So sure, you can definitely overdose and take too much, but unlike alcohol, an overdose of THC or CBD can't kill you.
Okay.
What you can do, or what you should do if you're able, have a glass of water, take a nap. What you should not do is, like you might with alcohol, think, oh, I'll have a heavy meal and try to dilute the effects. That can actually make matters worse because THC is absorbed better with food. And so that would be something you might want to avoid. The last thing you could try if you happen to have some on hand would be to smoke or vape a purely CBD-based product because it'll compete for the cannabinoid receptors with the psychoactive THC, and it might help you a little bit in terms of coming down from your side effects.
Like a CBD oil?
No, because that would take an hour or more to absorb. This would be if you're vaping or smoking something with CBD.
Wow, good to know. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the interaction of edibles with alcohol. Should you be interacting? Should those two things be interacting?
No, they really add to each other's impairment. So it is not a safe thing to drink and smoke or vape. One of the other things that can happen is they're both going to be competing with your body in terms of metabolizing the active ingredients, and so it can lead you to be drunker longer and to have a greater impact of the THC in the first place.
Can we talk just about the CBD edibles and them being a stress and pain reliever? Is there evidence to back that up, or is that like a placebo effect?
So there's not great evidence. So there's some evidence for sure that it might help with certain seizure disorders. When it comes to anxiety, there have been a few randomized trials, but the evidence is not particularly strong. Same with pain. Pain may be helpful for neuropathic pain from nerves.
Okay.
But as far as musculoskeletal pain or fibromyalgia pain, the evidence is mixed at best.
Okay. I think that what conversations parents are having these days is the concern around, because they're so cute, like it's edibles, it's cookies, it's things that kids would inevitably be drawn to. So what should parents be aware of, and at what age and how should we be starting to have these conversations with our kids?
Sure. So I think leading with fear or anger is probably a bad plan. I think that parents should be trying to have discussions with their children, not lecture their children. And I know that kids are going to be learning in school about the negative impact of cannabis on developing brains, so we don't, as parents, have to tell them that. But having a conversation, asking them about their experience with these products, whether their peers are using these products, do they have any questions about these products, might create an environment where they feel safe enough to chat about this with you rather than hide things.
Yeah.
And there's resources online. Drugs Free Kids Canada. Parents can go there to download a resource booklet to talk a little bit more about how you might approach this in your home. And again, it really should go without saying, but I'm going to say it because it's so important. If you've got edibles at home, keep them somewhere where the kids can't confuse them with something else.
Dr. Yoni, thank you for being our resource. We so appreciate you being here. For a recap of what we discussed, it'll be up on our website after the show, and we'll be right back.